Oh, welcome.
How are you? Very, very good.
Out of Downing Street, back in Ukraine. A popular face in Kyiv, but at home, controversy once again surrounds Boris Johnson, with allegations he took a loan guarantee of up to £800,000 from a distant cousin to fund living costs while in number 10. And this man, former banker and Tory donor Richard Sharp, helped arrange it weeks before he was recommended as chair of the BBC. Countless questions, but from this ally of Boris Johnson, few answers.
I've not had a conversation with either of those parties about that situation. I have met with Richard. We discussed the World Service. He struck me as an incredibly competent, experienced, thoughtful individual.
So what happened? According to the Sunday Times, Canadian millionaire Sam Blythe suggested the loan guarantee during dinner with Richard Sharp. Richard Sharp then approached the Cabinet Secretary. Sharp and Blythe met with Boris Johnson for dinner at his countryside residence Chequers, but they insist his finances were not discussed. Then, weeks later, the government announced Richard Sharp as the preferred candidate for BBC chair. The BBC said it had no role in picking its chair, while the government said a rigorous appointments process was followed. Labour now wants that reviewed, though, and a parliamentary probe launched. Richard Sharp also denied a conflict of interest, saying he just connected people.
Chairman of the BBC is an enormously important one for the country, and you want the process for appointing a new person to be absolutely squeaky clean, and I think there are some real questions to be answered in this instance.
Questions too for the former Prime Minister. A spokesman for Boris Johnson said everything was properly declared, that he didn't get any financial advice off Richard Sharp and didn't give him any compensation. On the Chequers meeting, the spokesman said he did have dinner with Mr Sharp, someone he's known for almost 20 years, and with his cousin, but added, so what? Big deal. Have you been honest about your tax affairs, Mr Zahawi? But one deal we know has been done. The Tory chairman, Nadeem Zahawi, has confirmed he had to settle an unpaid tax bill. The amount is still unknown, though, as is whether he was being looked into while still Chancellor.
There are big problems facing the country. We need good government, and I think it'd be a tragedy if the result of all this was for people to just simply turn away from politics and say they're all a bunch of crooks and knaves.
No longer in power, but still making waves. The curious case of the Prime Minister, the businessman, and the BBC chair. Awkward for all involved, political damage that could reach further afield. Rob Powell, Sky News in Westminster.